Welcome back, everyone, to more Black Twitch League action with our second set of the night. Spectre Gaming versus Trebuchet here. RareAdam alongside Haji for our second set of the night. And we are already getting into draft here. The Trundle, the Cannon, banned away by Spectre Gaming. Trebuchet banning out the Victor and the Xin Zhao, as Karma seems to be that last hover. So, curious to see how this one turns out, Haji. Both of these teams still looking for a little bit of stability in their Black Twitch League careers.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a great time to start it, you know? I mean, if you want to get that stability, you're always going to have to start out somewhere. And what better time, than now, right here, right now with us.
Yeah, and you can see it's going to be a little bit of a different look for Trebuchet here. It looks like Op Ivy going to be in that mid lane here. Galactic Emperor going to be filling in the top side of the map here. So a little bit of a different vibe coming through from the side of Trebuchet. Looks like they're going to try something different out, see if that is what will stick. Whereas on the flip side, Spectre Gaming going to be going with their tried and true, very consistent roster that we have seen them do quite consistently on, in that they are right in the middle of the pack as the Diana gets first picked.
You're saying they're consistently mid?
They've been consistent in the sense that they are just consistently consistent.
Consistently mid? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. With no flame, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, we do see the Diana first pick. We see a little bit of cosplaying of you with this Diana first pick. Answered up by Senna. As Jinx is up, that tells me Trebuchet thinks that they have a solid answer with this Senna. Senna, of course, did get a recent nerf not too long ago that kind of reduced a little bit of priority she had, but I think she's still plenty serviceable. As alongside her tried and true partner of Tom Kench.
Yeah, you would expect that like Senna Lucian as a combo or something. No, it's Senna Tom Kench. Senna's been cheating with the catfish for as long as she has been a champion in a lot of ways. But Jinx gonna be that answer into that lane.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, Lucian himself was cheating with Thresh for quite a while before Senna even entered the league. So we are going to see the Jinx answer picked up. Jinx considered one of, if not the best ADC in the game by quite many people, and followed up by another AP assassin with this Akali. So it's going to be interesting to see where Trebuchet plays along with this. We could see some heavy tanks coming in to try to punish the fact that you have so much AP alongside these two, and I definitely would like to see it now after you pick up a Karthus too, because you got your Karthus, then let's go some AD heavy bruiser tanks. That's what I want to see alongside the Karthus.
Yeah, and it's Senna Tom Kench with the Karthus here. It means that very likely Trebuchet just going to opt away from any sort of magic damage for the rest of the draft here. They don't need to draft any more magic damage. Karthus is so much magic damage that comes down from everywhere just to destroy anyone in their path in a lot of ways. But Diana Akali already being picked up here. It's interesting to see that combo because you still have the potential of Diana Yasuo. You have Diana plus a lot of AD mid laners here. Does this mean that Lake is taking out the Akali here over learning in that mid lane? I'm curious to see where this Akali goes.
Yeah, it definitely could go top lane. Even the side of Trebuchet is aware of this as they ban away the Yasuo. I personally am not a huge Diana Yasuo fan. I think that it's a little overstated in its strength because oh, look at that, they got a big Yasuo ultimate off, but at the end of the day, it's the Diana ultimate that's really doing the heavy lifting. I really think there's better options. However, I'm not also a big fan of stacking such big AP threats like this. It's very kin if Trebuchet picks up another AP threat alongside the Karthus. I think that they're kind of wasting the Karthus pick at that point. So ideally, Trebuchet picks up a strong AD mid laner for a counter pick in this mid lane after Spectre Gaming reveals whether or not it's a Kali mid. And we get to see how this team rolls out with Spectre Gaming, because they still have yet to support as well.
And of course, the yawn comes from the fact that there's a Shen in the top lane right now. So Shen just gonna, do Shen things as the Leona is the pair up with the Jinx here. So Shen just gonna be making sure that this comp is effectively just your 2 carry threat. It's gonna be Senna, it's gonna be Karthus, and whatever else happens, you've got to deal with it. But looks like this Akali will be going into the mid lane potentially here. Gangplank is the hover, and if this gets locked in, it gives a little bit of... Never mind. It's a Graves picked up. So Graves is going to be coming through, still very likely going up to that top lane.
Yeah, and it better be a AD Graves. Or not AD, but lethality Graves. I definitely think that lethality Graves would be much better suited for them. As we see some hovers, a possible Kindred, and if it is a Kindred, we're gonna have the check every now and then. What are they, souls? Marks? Are they just called marks?
Yeah, they're marks, but it's going to be the Cho'Gath locked in, so that does confirm that it is Karthus in the jungle here. Cho'Gath going to be going into that mid lane here. Interesting matchup into the Akali. This is definitely something a little bit off kilter of what we do expect, as I'm just realizing I need to change one last thing on our overlay here. Spectre Gaming. But the Cho'Gath in the mid lane, walk me through what you think about that pick.
I mean, I definitely think it's fine into Akali. I don't think it's like bad. I don't like it alongside the Karthus because you're kind of doubling up on your damage source a little bit. And it's just going to incentivize Spectre Gaming to go that MR a little easier, right? You want to, when you're playing a Karthus, you want to give the other team absolutely no reason to build MR outside of the Karthus. Because if they do build MR, then the rest of your team just benefits so much off of it. However, if you go this extra MR or AP pick in the mid lane, the size of Cho'Gath, then you're kind of like saying like, okay, well, you're not absolutely, inting if you pick up that extra MR. So I don't like it as much, especially because it's not going to like just dominate lane. So I feel like it's a little bit of a waste, but still not the worst in the world. And we do have some really strong stuff alongside with this card system.
I think a lot of it is going to be predicated on what the builds come through from Spectre Gaming are, because they do have a lot of damage on their side. There's not a whole lot of tank threat. It's only going to be that Leona. So realistically, when building resistances, you're sacrificing a lot of your champion's identity in doing so. You have a Jinx, you have an Akali, you have a Diana. None of them want to build Merc Treads, realistically. Maybe the Akali though. Maybe the Graves will, but if you're building Merc Treads on like Jinx or Diana, you're sort of like you're caping for them in a way, right? But interestingly enough, Cho'Gath is picked up by Galactic Emperor here. That means that we've got a Shen lying around, and that Shen may be going into the mid lane.
I mean, yeah. Into Akali, it's not the worst thing in the world, and it'll be really interesting to see. Maybe it's just off Ivy is better on the Shen than one had thought, I guess, or something like that. But really interesting. I hope it's Shockblade Shen. Big fan of the skin. It made me think of whether or not I could make Shen mid work myself. So I'll be interested to see how this works out, and if it is a solid playthrough.
Yes, we will find out what their angle is with the Shen in the mid lane as it comes through. But yeah, Staple is official. Going to be pulling out that Karthus, you can see, has the exhaust as well. So going to be trying to stay alive in those early stages here. Just for anyone who's curious about it, Haj, you walk us through what the idea behind Karthus Jungle is, especially when we look at the side of Spectre Gaming and their composition.
You farm for quite a while, then you ult, then you keep farming. You just keep doing that for a while. I mean, yeah, Karthus as a champion is just eventually he's just kind of like a farming simulator. He is the herbivore jungler to end all herbivore junglers. He's not here to gank a lot. He's not here to do too much outside of press his R button a few times and farm. And he does well at that. So it's going to be all up to pathing and how effectively Staples Official is able to do with this Karthus.
And curious to see how the Senatom Kench works out, because very likely going to be fasting set in a lot of ways. We've seen the changes that have come through from anyone who has farmed on Senna. You get like 1 soul every 6 waves. It's pretty sad, to say the least. So, Senatom Kench into Jinx Leona. What is the expectation out of this lane, in your opinion?
I mean, I think it should be kind of a wash. I don't really think there's like too many ways Leona should be able to just engage on Senna and Tom Kench. I think Tom should be able to stop that and dissuade that decently well. And vice versa, I don't think it's like really feasible for the side of Trebuchet bot lane to move in on this Jinx Leona. I think that they just get pushed back and kited too hard by, Jinx traps and the like. So I think it should be largely a wash in this bot side, which is perfectly fine for, Staples, who wants to kind of just farm.
Curious to see what will come through in regards to this game in general. One thing we've always got to ask, at least in my color cast, is who's winning?
I have a counter question first.
Okay.
Who has the best IGN in this lobby?
Who has the best IGN in this lobby? There's some good ones. I mean, we've got Lake Learning, Hyper F is not bad, Swagasm, that's a classic. We've got Wet Dreams. We've tried to avoid saying it, but yeah, that's Wet Dreams in the bottom. Mm-hmm. I think Staples the best Official. One is Staples Official. That's got to be the best one.
You think so?
Like, it's just so. It's just there, right? Like, you don't expect to go into your game and be like, man, this is Staples? I'm playing against Staples Official? Like, his Discord PFP is also, like, the Staples logo, so that also helps their case. So I think it's Staples Official, yeah.
I personally think it's Learning, but that's fair. Staples Official is a good second for me, so. I like the side of Trebuchet here. I like their comp. I think it's really interesting. I want to see how this Shen into the Cali mid lane matchup goes. But I think that they have all the tools they need to be able to scale really heavily with this Karthus zone.
So we'll find out what happens in this matchup. If it will be the side of Trebuchet taking game 1, or if Spectre Gaming are going to continue their hot streak, in a sense. They won last week 2-0. Let's see if they can continue that play on as we find out if it will be Team Trebuchet or Team Spectre in game 1. We'll be right back with more BTL action. And welcome to more Black Twitch League action here as we get onto the Rift with Game 1 between Spectre Gaming and Trebuchet. RareAdam alongside the most vulgar-mouthed co-caster I've ever worked with. I'm Haji. He speaks so much shit in between games, but alas, that is beside the point. Level 1, Staples official. That's 10 gold.
Yeah. First strike, baby. And also, there's no proof to your claims, and I kind of... Yeah, first strike diff, and I kind of take offense to it, to be honest.
Who says that I didn't turn on the stream 2 seconds before I said so? Pausers? Regardless here.
We do see the Shen going up top, though.
Yes. So Shen is going up to that top lane here. Well, let's rearrange the scoreboard here. Of note, another interesting bug to note. Yes, there is, of course, the right side scoreboard being awful. And Cho'Gath is a circle and not a square like everyone else. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a circle without a background either, which is what's really interesting to me. Like, it's like unintended circle.
Yes, it's an interesting bug to say the least. But regardless, we should be getting into this game here. Looking at the runes here, nothing too surprising from either of these sides here. Of note, Fleet Footwork going to be the option for Wet Dreams on this Senna here. There have been some different options. First Strike is one that comes to mind. Lethal Tempo, Grasp, Electrocute. Fleet Footwork seems to be the most consistent option, though.
Yeah, I think I like Lethal Tempo because you get some ridiculous range, but can't go wrong with Fleet Footwork. It's going to make your lane presence a little bit more, there.
And we'll have to keep our eyes on how many souls the Senna gets. I generally think that the rule is 20 souls every 5 minutes. Means that effectively you're getting some bonus range. You get bonus range every while, but Wet Dream's actually going to flash away from that one. I don't think they knew they weren't marked with that Zenith Blade, so going to be a really early summoner blown by Wet Dreams here on this bottom side of the map. Interesting to say the least.
Yeah, definitely a unnecessary. Oh my god! 1 second, I'm sorry.
As Haji gets the hiccups or something in the meantime, Wet Dreams, yes, unnecessarily blowing that flash there. Red Strike on this bottom side of the map here. You're going to be doing the farming, so as expected, going to be the farming Kench, the fasting Senna, still looking to stack up those, just stack up over time with the souls. The main thing about newer Tahm Kench compared to old Tahm Kench, which was still played with Senna, is the fact that you get your Abyssal Dive. You're able to follow up on that Senna route, so it gives you a lot more capabilities, and it gives you that trading pattern that you can take advantage of in lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Tahm Kench, they made him kind of a better laner in a lot of ways. Not necessarily. They kind of made him a bit worse protector with the ultimate now being his Devour. But overall, arguably a better character in a lot of facets. So definitely gets, definitely gets a little bit more value out of that farming. Although Senna just picked up two of those, yes.
It happens. And, I mean, so long as you're not getting the support penalty, which of note on a lot of supports, even Relic Shield ones now, it comes really early. Like, you end up getting reduced farm at, or reduced gold at, 4 minutes if you take, 1 CS more than you're supposed to as a Relic Shield support. So, that's an interesting thing to note. It's kind of annoying as a support player. But,
that's Smite top stuff.
It's because of the Smite stop stuff, but I don't think they should have done it for Relic Shield because they weren't building Relic Shield anyways. But Wet Dream's going to be taken advantage of here on this bottom side of the map. It's going to be First Blood going over to the Leona. Red Strike, though, trying to get out of this one. Still gets stunned up with that Empower auto attack. The Shield of Daybreak as Swagasm going to be able to pick that kill up for themselves. It's 2 kills for the side of Spectre Gaming early on against Team Trebuchet.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of the problem with Wet Dreams blowing that flash so early. It opens up the ability for Swagasm to get that flash stick gank bot and gets so much out of it, as now a lane that was pretty comfortable, Wet Dreams and Red Strike doing decently fine for themselves. It was pretty equal. Now it just gets flipped to where they are now behind pretty decently.
they're sort of flipped on their heads a little bit here. This Senna Tom Kench is meant to be a really defensive lane, not giving over any advantages over to this Jinx, but she's able to get an assist there. She's able to start to build that CS lead for herself a little bit, and looking at the gold, it's gonna be a gold lead regardless for this Jinx, but you know, she's up 200 gold already here. This Leona up 200 gold, but the Diana of note up 500 gold. That's really what's going to be your power point in a lot of ways. This Diana is going to put the hurt down onto anyone in this game, and if she's able to farm this bot lane in terms of just pick up kills over and over again, it's gonna bode well overall.
Yeah, definitely is. Although this Karthus is going off to a decent start, farming up pretty well. You can see this is one of those moments where you don't have anything to farm just yet. You're waiting on some respawn timers. He is going to pick up a little gold for himself on the bot side with that gate, that wall of pain.
And remember, the wall of pain used to be so much better as well. I'm pretty sure it used to like. It used to like have your magic resist plus like an 80% slow or something. It was pretty ridiculous. They tuned it down a lot, but you know, Karthus being a jungler now doesn't really have a whole lot of gank tools. The Wall of Pain is your bread and butter gank tool, which kind of sucks because it's on a really long cooldown and it's a wall. It's not something that you can move around or anything. It's not a stun or anything. It's a slow. It's a glorified, you know, magic shred. But Galactic Emperor in this mid lane going to be flashing away, gets the Shen shield as well. Learning, going to be walking away from that one, but in the meantime, it's going to be the dragon picked up. First dragon of the game, going to be collected by the side of Staples Official and the side of Team Trebuchet. So the Requiem now available for this Karthus. When they will use it, we will find out, but that's really what makes Karthus Karthus. You need to be dropping down those ultimates, and hopefully doing damage to 5 members and getting that first strike. Hopefully picking up a couple of kills with it every single time you use it as well.
Yeah. And on top of that, even when you don't get those kills, you still get some money out of it with this first strike.
Granted, it is a long cooldown, so you don't want to be wasting it. Getting that Hextech Dragon, though, does help. It gives you a little bit of additional ability haste, so not going to be the worst thing on Karthus, who actually doesn't end up building too much of it on their own, you know, very often going for stuff like the Leandries, which does give it on its mythic passive, but Demonic Embrace next, you know, Shadow Flame. All of these items don't give you any sort of ability haste, and unless you're going, you know, Cosmic Drive Axiom Arc, your ultimate's going to still be a pretty significant cooldown.
Yeah, we might see a 2v2 up here for this red buff, as we see the Karthus ult coming out early.
Here comes the Requiem, going to come down. First strike going to land on to Lake, so we'll find out how much is collected there. Staples Official
60.
Ends up collecting 60 gold. Not bad. Ends up just being a little bit extra, but Swagasm here going to be trying to steal that away. Staples Official with the Great Smite plus the Q combo means that Swagasm ends up getting nothing.
Yeah, and Staples Official picks himself up that red buff that he wanted. It looks like they moved HyperF up to this this Herald and TP'd Learning down to bot. Really interesting macro decision overall. I'm not a big fan of it because you didn't have to match. It's not like you were matching a bot move yourself. So realistically, Wet Dreams and Red Strike could have and should have kind of just forced bot more, picked up a plate or two for themselves, kind of negated the entirety of that Herald. But they do get the back off and move mid, and Galactic Emperor will TP themselves down bot afterwards.
Yeah, so they're just going to end up matching the lanes here, and I guess a big factor of that is questioning why the Senna Tom Kench just doesn't get the free lane against the Akali for a little bit, and they instead ought to go into the lane that they're struggling a little bit in already. I think you'd rather take the free lane and just say, Cho'Gath, sit under tower, press Q, farm the wave. That's what you do. But they did not opt to go.
Yeah, especially with Cho'Gath being able to instant clear waves, definitely would have been in their favor to kind of just push forward on the spot side, try to get those plates. But they do get the backs off, they do move mid, and they look like they're staying for another wave here, and we'll probably back after this with Learning coming back mid.
as Learning is in the mid lane now. It's just really interesting rotations from everyone, but Red gonna be going forward there, trying to land a combo down onto the Tahm Kench. Here comes Learning, though, moving forward. Huge shield on Red Strike. There comes the Shen into the middle. Red gonna be gobbled up. It won't actually be up and available, so Op Ivy, sorry, gonna be able to pick up their first kill of the game on a very good ultimate down into that mid lane, and that's gonna be the first kill of the game for Team Trebuchet.
Yeah, and all it cost them was that Shen ultimate as well as the Senna flash. Not too bad. They're able to pick up some extra turret plate gold as well.
Some extra turret plates, and now HyperF in a little bit of a hairy situation. You do not want to be fighting this Cho'Gath here in this early game, especially before you've got that Kraken Slayer, so going to be forced to flash out of there as Lake up on this top side has been losing out on the CS battle, but working towards that Eclipse, taking a little bit of a trade there with Op Ivy.
Yeah, and it looks like we might be seeing 2 Eclipses this game. One from Lake as well as from Wet Dreams here with that Dirk. As we're gonna get a big Herald charge off, get a few plates for both HyperF. Well, actually, all 3 of them. HyperF, Swagasm, and Learning. They're not Learning. Red. Sorry.
As we
Liv,
look at the
by the
build
way,
right now, yeah, 400 gold lead for the side of Spectre Gaming still. It's not as big of a gold lead as we would expect, especially considering the Senna Tahm Kench lane, which can struggle at times. But at the 12-minute mark here, let's get a check on those souls. 47 souls, so performing above standards here already for Wet Dreams here. Been doing a great job of farming up those souls, and despite dying early on here, they've been able to farm those quite efficiently.
Yeah, and Karthus ult will be down here, but so will Lake TP. And there's no Shen ult either. So this might end up being a 4v4 if they go for this dragon both sides. Oh, wow. Learning does not get over the wall.
Learning's tanking up this dragon.
Getting so
not
much
a
damage.
good sign here. They haven't really pulled the trigger on it quite yet, as Learning still in that pit, waiting for the dragon to sort of get pulled out here, but still sort of hanging around the back here. Might be able to find an engaged Super Mega Death Rocket. Gonna miss as the Shuriken Flip gonna go over the wall. Dragon resets slightly here. A little bit of a tough situation as Staples official not really up in that front line. Will be able to secure that once again, but here comes the fight. A 4-man Moonfall gonna be used by that Diana, but will not end up getting any kills right off the bat. Gonna be a kill picked up. Tube taken up by the Jinx already, so Jinx starting to pop off in this fight. Senna able to strike there once, but it is a triple kill picked up by the Jinx. HyperF is getting real excited here. Red Strike trying to answer back. It's going to be the last kill of the fight picked up by Lake, but HyperF gets hyper and picks up 3.
Yeah, unfortunately for Trebuchet, they kind of all pile on to a huge Diana ultimate, and even though Wet Dreams gets swallowed up for it, everyone else eats it, and then on top of that, you still don't have the ultimates that you really want in this team fight, which is specifically the Karthus ult and the Shen ultimate. And the rest of your team just kind of gets swallowed up after Jinx gets a little bit excited.
Yeah, a really tough angle there, to say the least. It was just sort of... They got the dragon. They had a way out, but Swagasm was able to find their way into the fight, able to find what was effectively a 4-man Moonfall. The damage from the Diana ultimate wasn't all too much, but it grouped them up, got them prepared for HyperF to just pop off and get excited in that fight. And exactly to the win condition you were talking about there, this Jinx is going to be so massive, and picking up 5 kills across that entire fight for the side of Team Spectre Spectre Gaming, sorry, is massive.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're gonna claim themselves a solid 2K gold lead going into after that fight, which not the hugest thing in the world. It's definitely still winnable from the side of Trebuchet, but they're gonna be a little bit of a hole now after that fight, especially with the Jinx picking up so much of that gold.
And of note here, HyperF is actually filling in as the AD carry here. Normal AD carry is not available for today in Rebound, so you've got your fill in with Red in that support position. But thus far, it's been really good performance from the side of HyperF and Red. They surely don't show the fact that there is a substitution.
Definitely, they've been playing their game pretty well, and they've played to their win conditions decently well. So really good from both of them, and definitely putting their team into a position where they can win from.
Yeah, but Staples official here gonna get caught out by that solar flare. Swagasm. Oh my goodness, gonna try and find the kill, but Staples official with some huge shields on top of themselves here, able to stay alive. Red is now the one trying to take them down, but it's only a Leona. Good start to the fight from the side of Trebuchet, but Lake gonna be able to take down Wet Dreams. Staples official trying to stay alive, eating fruit up as they can, but it looks like Red's gonna be able to find that kill as well. Here comes the Requiem though, lots of damage coming down, but it's not gonna be enough to clean up any kills. Op Ivy now running for the hills as Lake is trying to clean up the Shen. Shen will be able to run for the hills as it ends up being a 3-for-2 in favor of Spectre. A couple of deaths going back the other way, specifically onto Swagasm and Red, but overall, really strong fight as Staples official still gets taken down despite all of those ultimates being used on the Karthus.
Yeah, definitely. It was a big fight. It looks like it was going to go the side of Trebuchet at first, but unfortunately, it still ended up being a 5-4 in the end. And for the side of Trebuchet, Wet Dreams kind of moved up a little too far up, and they even bust Flash, but Flash the opposite way and end up in the middle of 3 people and end up going down pretty easily after that. And it was just really unfortunate because on the other side you have the Jinx, who was kind of just running forward with that Get Excited.
Yeah, the Jinx, every single fight is going to be a big focal point, as Red, actually the focal point of this engage, will end up staying alive with a sliver of health, but you can see the damage that Wet Dreams is able to put down. The Senna is starting to scale slowly but surely here. I think that's the name of the game, and especially when you look at how big that front line is in the Cho'Gath, the Shen, the Tahm Kench now. Wet Dreams is going to have a lot of capabilities in this later stages if the Diana, the Akali, aren't able to jump on top of her.
Yeah, and Wet Dreams is sitting at 62 souls here at 17 minutes, so definitely at a good spot, not the worst in the world, and will continue to scale, like as you said, alongside this Karthus, and it's just going to be whether or not she's able to scale to a sufficient level to deal with the side of Spectre Gaming, or whether they're going to be able to just roll over regardless.
Yes, and oh my goodness, here comes the fight here on to Staples official though. Staples official going to go down once again on this Karthus. And Red Strike as well, taking a whole bunch of damage. Lake going to be able to clean that one up as the Graves picks up their 3rd kill of the game. Good Solar Flare going to come down. Big slow onto Wet Dreams, but they should be able to escape. Galactic Emperor, though, going to get a big rupture. This might mean the turn here. Galactic Emperor going to clean up Red as well. And here comes the re-engage off Ivy coming in from the side, looking to deal some damage, but Galactic Emperor will get taken down by HyperF, moving forward with that Gale Force and that last auto attack to clean up the kill once again. So despite a good look to turn that fight around, it still ends up just going all in favor of the side of Spectre Gaming.
Yeah, and they're able to pick up their first dragon of the game, which is going to pause the dreams of a quick, 4 dragon soul point or soul for Trebuchet. So it's going to be a little bit difficult as we're seeing an engage onto this Jinx.
Yeah, HyperF,
they're going to be able to get away.
Still able to stay alive. Force the blow that flash though. So it's
oh my god.
Oh. There you go. Power of Karthus. There's 120 gold as well that they're able to pick up from that first strike. So finally, Staples official able to get on the board with their first kill of the game.
They did 467 damage at 19 minutes. We're already at that point. So definitely a good spot for Staples official. And it can only go upwards from here.
Yes, and interestingly enough, the Staples official playing this Karthus, it's an interesting thing to point out because they're tied for the most deaths in the league. Staples official playing Karthus, like it makes sense. You're still able to make use of the champion when you're dead, and might be facing another one here as Zenith Blade moves forward, but the instant teleport coming through from Op Ivy is going to prevent anything from happening unless it is going the opposite way. Red taking some big damage here. Solar Flare not going to be able to stun up Op Ivy as they're able to pick up another kill for themselves. So Trebuchet, they're plucky. They're sticking in it. They're staying close.
Yeah, the game is still at the 2K gold lead hasn't really changed too much. You know, 2.5 now after this top turret has been taken. Things have not been shaken up an insane amount, and you still have very, very strong scalers on the side of Trebuchet with this Karthus and Senna. So, you know, the world has not ended. We're still in it, and they're still have plenty of avenues ahead of themselves.
Lots of ways to get this victory for themselves still. And I think a lot of that comes down to their scaling. Senna arguably can scale harder than Jinx in a lot of ways, but Wet Dream is going to be getting that stand united as Learning says, okay, cool. That's a cooldown that I'm perfectly happy to take from you. Going to use that ultimate, trade it for the Shen's. And Shen's ultimate arguably more impactful with a longer cooldown. Gonna mean that there's an opportunity to take advantage of the lack of that ultimate next time Learning's ultimate is up.
Yeah, Learning's ultimate is about half the cooldown of Op Ivy's, so not a bad trade at all. Especially considering there is not a whole lot to get done on this map. Baron is up, but you're not going to really be going to Baron right now. So yeah, bust your ultimate, but for Shen ultimate, and probably just ults again when it's on cooldown, and be perfectly fine.
Yes, and of note here, a big factor in why the gold lead is still in favor of Spectre, despite the closing kill gap, is the first strike damage, first of all, as well as the objectives that have been picked up. But Staples, 178 gold. You know, it's like an auction at this point. It just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. And the later that this game goes, and the more items that Staples official is able to get, it's just going to mean even more damage onto the likes of the Diana, onto the likes of this Jinx. And those are the key members that you're trying to cut through here. Granted, Lake now has a fully completed Mauve Malmortius. You've got yourself the Merc Treads on the Akali. That might be the extent of the magic resistance that those two champions are going to build, unless we see like an Edge of Night come through from the Jinx. She's going to be taking massive damage every single time.
Yeah, and that one did nearly half Jinx's health. So, and it's only going to keep getting worse. We do have the Void Staff already through for Staples official alongside this Leandre's. So it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an odd situation as this game progresses. Of note, got to take a check on some of our counting stats as well. 86 souls on to Wet Dreams here, so starting to fall behind the pace just a little bit. 6 stacks on that ultimate for Galactic Emperor. Of note, all 6 of those stacks, can I see those? Oh, actually, only 4 of those stacks on to minions, so still has 2 more to get. Going to be maxing out at 8 for now, and still has dragons to chomp as well. Hasn't had to use that quite yet, but Cho'Gath is a champion that does scale infinitely.
Yeah, definitely, and Cho'Gath will become another one of these, you know, super hard scalers that is able to become very tanky. So
here comes
the
Rec Room again.
One.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Staples official. 177 gold. There you go. Can we get 178? Anyone? 178? 178? Going once, going twice. No, not yet. We're going to have to wait for level 16 and or another item coming through from Staples official to start breaking down that 200 gold barrier there. I think the most that I've seen off of one Karth Assault was like 400 gold. But it's close there. The Cho'Gath ultimate going to secure that dragon as Ocean Soul point now available for the side of Team Trebuchet. They've done a great job of these objective controls. What they haven't done a great job of is staying away from Red. Op Ivy, though, going to drop down that ultimate, and Staples official able to stay alive, clean up that kill. So Red, very aggressive, moving forward onto Staples official, forces out that Shen ultimate, but it's still a kill going back over to Staples official, who has not died since they took their last death. Or what? Since they got their first kill. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's they getting a little greedy there for Red, flashing forward for that engage to try to pick off Staples official, but not able to find anything out of it outside of their own death. Definitely very tragic for Red. And honestly, it feels like Trebuchet's sitting pretty. They're down 2K, but it's not feeling like it, and it's not looking like it with the way they're able to control the map so far. Specifically with a great ultimate from Staples official to give them that dragon there at the end.
Yeah, So the
I
dragon,
understand that Soul.
the soul's massive too because Ocean Soul against the Karthus is so good. It just makes it so that you take the ult. Yes, it's gonna hurt onto Hyper F. It's gonna hurt onto Diana, but then you just sort of regen up over time. You're able to get back into the fights. You wait like 10 seconds. You spam your dance or something, and then you're back into the fight after that. Of note, Hyper F did respect the Karthus in buying a Hex Drinker now, so is going to have a little bit more tankiness to tank up specifically the Requiem.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see where Staples Official goes from here with that build. Already has their MR busting items. Maybe they go for a third, right, with like a shield bow. It's not a shield bow.
Op Ivy trying to stay alive is going to get taken down despite the Senna ultimate. Red and Lake are able to link up to clean that one up. And now Ping's coming down onto this Baron. Very aggressive play if it comes through from Spectre, but they're starting to feel the heat from this Karthus and potentially trying to make an aggressive play happen. There's no vision on this objective, so it's going to have to be spotted out here. This Cone going to be able to spot that out, but I don't think Staples Official can do much about it. Here comes the Requiem down. Lots of damage coming through as Red starts to take the chunk of that 225 gold picked up by Staples Official, but not the Baron of note. And that's going to mean that side of Spectre Gaming able to pick up the Purple Worm, pick up a 4,000 gold lead, and now they've got some pushing power behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. And they should be able to pick up some of these extra towers, specifically this mid one that has been stood up so long. However, hey, Dreams.
Yeah, Dream's going to be able to get out of there with the help of going into the Kencha's belly there. He demands an entree. And unfortunately, Senna did have to enter the mouth of the beast, but is able to stay alive to not be another kill going over to Hyper F there.
Yeah, and it looks like what the side of Trebuchet won't be able to pick up that mid turret here, quite unfortunately. And we're just gonna get back to farming. Looks like we're just gonna get back to farming, pushing some side lanes. It looks like it might just end up being a 1-3-1 here. As each team is just trying to build their carries up a little more further.
It's a slow climb for the side of Trebuchet. They've still got that Ocean Soul point available to them. They've got 2 Drags to give as well. Granted, you don't want to be giving over too many of these Ocean Dragons because the more Ocean Drags you give over, the lesser Ocean Soul means if you get it, and the more the Ocean Soul means for them. And we talked about how strong Ocean Soul is against the Karthus. The strongest thing you can get is a 4-stack Ocean Soul. It means that the ultimate's going to come through, Jinx is going to be like, and then sit there, as we said, spam dance for 10 seconds and be full health again. So not a whole lot of angles to take advantage of that if it comes down. But Staples Official, level 14, climbing towards level 16 here of note. So we're going to have to keep our eye when that comes down because level 3 Requiem is a massive power spike.
They're on vision here on this bot side that they didn't know just yet. As this Diana's gonna have to flash away.
Yeah, flashing into Galactic Emperor though. Rupture gonna come down, but that's all she wrote for now. Red Strike gonna be tossing down those tongue lashes as well. Positioning around this dragon, getting a little bit touch and go here because you don't have your flash on your Diana now, so not a whole lot of ways to really get into that backline, though. Here comes Learning with a lot of damage onto Galactic Emperor, but this Cho'Gath is a big boy in the front line. That's going to be the perfect execution. One used, but a flash out from Learning as well. Lots of summoners being burned. Here comes the Requiem down. That's a lot of damage as the Senna ultimate comes through as well. Karthus is going to be collecting a big paycheck there, but the fight is starting to go the way of the side of Spectre Gaming. They picked up 2 kills already. Lake in that front line, so big with this lethality. So much damage coming through from Hyper F here. Lake is unstoppable, and now Staples Official runs for the hill with the fade away. There goes the rocket as Hyper F able to pick up another triple kill around these dragons, and this might mean a lot more than just a dragon. This is probably a couple of towers.
Yeah, this might be the beginning of the end for Trebuchet. They had held on so well throughout this game until now, but unfortunately for them, they're only able to pick up 1 here and lose everything else, including the dragon. And really, it just came down to the fact that Jinx was putting out so much damage, even through the tanks, especially compared to Wet Dreams, who just wasn't able to match that DPS at all. Even with Staples Official putting out that ultimate, and getting some strong damage done themselves.
Yeah, and you can see with all of the damage that is coming through from both of these sides, it's making these fights really volatile. We saw how much damage came down onto the Akali of note, but she's just able to stay alive throughout all of that, despite the Karthus ultimate, despite everything, and they're able to find a really clean teamfight victory. And Trebuchet, they're starting to fall onto their last legs. They're down 7,500 gold. You know, Staples official, almost level 16 here. Is that going to be enough for them to take this game?
I mean, to take the game as a whole, I'm not sure, because at this part of the game, it might be too late. But you know, his level 16 Karthus is as orbital nuke as you can get. So, you know, you get that level 16 in, possibly a Rabadon's pretty soon here as they're building onto it, and maybe we could see Staples official put the team in his backpack.
That's what we're going to have to see if that can come through, because Staples official is sort of the one-man show in terms of the AP damage. We've got to see this guy be able to put some damage out, because thus far, Wet Dreams hasn't really been able to pump out the damage that we expect out of the Senna. Opted for the Eclipse as their build option. It's good considering how not beefy the enemy team is, but it's still just, it feels underwhelming right now.
Yeah, just not able to put out that DPS, especially not compared to, you know, the Jinx on the other team. It's just going to be always a little bit behind this Jinx DPS wise, and it's going to be hard for her team to be able to match up, partially because of that.
Galactic Emperor now trying to deal with Lake. It's a lot of damage coming through from this Graves. Graves went for the Seralda's Grudge. It's just slicing through Cho'Gath like a stick of butter there. It's so clean from Lake. Look at all that damage that gets taken down to Galactic Emperor, and there hasn't been a Warmogs picked up by this Cho'Gath either quite yet, so that regen is going to take a while to come through.
Yeah, and my tip for players at all, every time they're having to play against a split push like this, is to get that Warmogs decently early, because that way you can kind of sacrifice your health to clear out waves, and then just back off, let yourself heal up with Warmogs, and then just redo it all over again for the next wave.
We'll have to see if that is how they're going to build next, because 3 items on the Cho'Gath, working on a 3rd item here for the Shen. Granted, they've got themselves a little bit of a garage sale now, but this Baron is spawning, and they've been able to stay in this game. They've been able to stay relevant, and they've been able to push Spectre Gaming beyond their average game time thus far, but it just feels like a slow burn here for the side of Trebuchet. Here comes that ultimate. Let's see how much gold Karthus will get this time around. 248, so that's a decent chunk there with the level 16 Requiem, but you know, there's a Banshee's Veil now available, there's a Hex Drinker, there's a Maw on the Graves, there's now stopwatches coming through into the inventory. This means that the ultimate from Staples Official is starting to get less and less impactful the longer this game goes.
Yeah, a bit. We might see a switching of that with this depth cap coming in, or on its way of coming in, but right now it's a little painful just not being able to put out all that full damage with all the MR options the enemy team has been opting into. And now, like you said, now the Baron is up, or down, I guess, technically. And they've picked it up. It looks like they might be looking for that death push across these top 2 lanes.
Oh my, but Tahm Kench taking a big chunk of damage. The Senna ultimate's going to have to bail him out. Red Strike going to be able to stay alive with that gray health there after the Super Mega Death Rocket, but it does mean an inhibitor will be cracked here. Second one seems to be under fire as well. Requiem isn't up off of cooldown quite yet either, as the Rabadon's is complete, so that big chunk of damage that we've talked about there that can come from the Karthus ultimate isn't going to be available on the way out, and Ocean Dragon's available as well. This is their 3rd chance at Soul, at least for the side of Trebuchet, but they won't be able to take advantage of it once again, and this is going to make sure that the Soul point is going to have to, or Soul is going to have to wait for another 5 minutes if we even get it at all at this point, as Spectre Gaming able to pick that Dragon up.
Yep, they're able to put themselves on Soul Point. Triple Ocean now for their side, which is automatically, even by itself, very strong. And they're going to push in this bot wave and look to try to get this triple inhibitor against Trebuchet. And if they do, it's going to be very, very painful for the side of Trebuchet. I'd almost say, try to take the fight beforehand, unless you're looking for a very specific item breakpoint. But now that you've already got the Karthus death cap, I really feel like you should just try your luck here under this tower.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what they can pull out of their hats in a lot of ways. You can see the Baron up minions are also pushing through that mid lane. There's another 30 seconds on Baron, and honestly, the biggest issue about this two carry comp is one of them doesn't want to take the farm, which is kind of selfish at this point because he needed to save the game. The other one is Karthus. This is a jungler who's probably getting minion tax at this point, but there's no wave clear. You've got 3 tanks. You can't really clear out these waves that efficiently, as you can see. Hyper F just able to stand behind these minions, consistently fire them up, and the siege is just starting to get a little bit too much. Now, damage coming down on to the next, as you can see. Big ultimate gonna come down, chunk out the health bars to half. That's a lot of gold picked up by Staples Official, but will it even be enough? Into the backline goes this Diana. They're trying to end the game. They don't really need the kill. Swagasm gonna go down. Red taken down very low as well, but Hyper F is left untouched throughout this entire time. Learning left untouched as well. It's a triple kill picked up by Hyper F, looking for more. It's gonna be the Quadra stolen away by Lake. No Penta here, but Spectre Gaming gonna be able to pick themselves up a Game 1 victory here.
Yeah, and after that early game, as they smooth things out in that mid game, starting with that first dragon that they were able to pick up, they kind of just rolled through the game afterwards. They played it really calm, really patient, and they played the game slow. They picked up some MMR items for their team to make sure that the Karthus couldn't legitimately one shot their team. And they were able to play this pretty textbook because they were able to get picks, play out the fights well, and play around the fact that Karthus was like the Trebuchet's really only person who could carry this game. So good for them. Good game, and I really, after that last inhib go down, it was kind of a how long is it going to take kind of thing, and it did not take long.
Yeah, sort of just ended up ending the game right then and there. They were able to close up shop, prevent anyone else from going down. And for the side of Trebuchet here, they need to try and find a bounce back performance. What do they need to do this time around in terms of their draft, even just to get themselves back up on their feet?
I mean, I would have really liked a heavier AD threat in the mid lane instead of like that Cho'Gath, or even a better ADC alongside on this bot side, because I really don't think that the Senna was necessarily doing it, and I don't think the Cho'Gath gave you enough to justify its pick. I liked the Karthus. I really always love Karthus because I think that he's a champion who can do well in 99% of games. Just the nature of that champion. So I definitely think that their top side is okay, but I would have really liked better mid mid and ADC specifically.
We'll have to see how that plays out. But of course, for the time being, we are going to take a quick break. And when we're back, we'll see what these teams have in store for Game 2. You're watching more Black Twitch League.